Bitcoin is down more than 20% over the last month. And in moments like this, the question shouldn't be, what is the price doing? Because some of the crypto companies are not doing too well, and the MiCAR deadline is coming up by the end of this month. So how confident are you really in your security setup? This is the Bitcoin Weekly by Blockrise. Here's what's actually happening. Bitcoin is trading around 55,000 euros, or equal $63,000. For the last 7 days, Bitcoin is down 9%. The weekly range was also wide, from 51,500 euros to 60,000 euros. But the more important signal is the trend position. Bitcoin is now minus 15% versus the 50-day moving average and minus 18% versus the 200-day moving average. That does not tell you what is happening next, but it does tell you that the market is currently in a stress phase. The big story this week is not yet another ETF flow or corporate treasury headline. Those matter, but we have covered them already. MSTR first sold 32 Bitcoin, and then recently they bought another 1,550 Bitcoin. ETFs are useful, but they are a bridge into Bitcoin exposure. They are not the final stage of Bitcoin adoption. For the next phase of Bitcoin adoption, it's going to be more practical, making Bitcoin ownership easy, understandable, and thus usable without hiding the trust model. That sounds simple, but it is actually the hard part. Pure self-custody gives you maximum control, but it also puts the full burden on the user. And this might be fine for you, but would it work for all of your family and friends? They might lose access, misunderstand the backup, or fail to plan inheritance, and then the Bitcoin has failed at the moment where it actually matters. And a wrapper like an ETFs solves this convenience problem, but often by abstracting what makes Bitcoin different in the first place. Finding the balance is much harder. It means building products that reduce technical complexity without pretending that the trust model has disappeared. This is why the timing matters. Bitcoin Prague this week has sessions on self-custody, inheritance, and even self-defense education on $5 wrench attacks. And that tells you where the conversation is going. Self-custody is not just a statement. It is more of a product design problem for global adoption. At BTC++ Vienna, I framed it like this. Exposure is not verification, and verification is not ownership. An ETF merely gives you exposure where verification could be a proof of reserves. But in the end, ownership is what makes Bitcoin so strong. So if we want Bitcoin to reach serious users, the product has to help people understand that exact difference. Then the story you missed this week is recovery. Recovery usually gets treated as an afterthought. It should not be. Recovery is where ownership becomes real. Blockrise recently published a piece on their cloud recovery solution. The important detail is cloud recovery backs up the recovery kit, not the Bitcoin seed phrase. Those are not the same. The recovery kit gives you access to your Blockrise account. With cloud recovery, an encrypted version is stored in your iCloud or Google Drive. A separate encryption key is held by Blockrise. So neither Apple, Google, or Blockrise can read the recovery kit alone. And that is exactly the distinction that matters. The goal is not to hide the complexity. The goal is to split the trust model clearly and make recovery work in real life. The article also says that since the launch, 80% of new Blockrise clients have chosen for cloud recovery. And that number is interesting because it says something about users in general. People want Bitcoin ownership to be serious, but they also want to protect against human mistakes, a new phone or lost backup. And good Bitcoin products should not force people to choose between security and usability. They should make the trade-off explicit and then make it as easy as possible. There are two things that I'm watching over the next 2 weeks. First, Bitcoin Prague, the main Bitcoin conference of Europe. I want to see whether the self-custody conversation remains top priority and what the larger audience thinks of the current market. I'll be there with my team, so make sure to come by our booth. And second, market stress. When price is falling, people discover whether they actually understand what they hold. This will impact the ETF flows, but also interesting to check out the withdrawal volumes at exchanges. As more people move to self-custody, the Bitcoin network becomes more secure and more decentralized. And that is exactly what I want to see happening. This is not financial advice, it's just my perspective on what's happening. Do your own research and don't forget to subscribe. See you in 2 weeks and verify your Bitcoin.